Good day and welcome, America and beyond. Tom Donahue for Tom Donahue Reports. Patriotism in action, putting America first, New World Order dead last. Proudly a protectionist and someone that believes in the pursuit of liberty, most certainly truth, free speech, the first 10 amendments, which is the Bill of Rights to the original United States Constitution, and certainly the Declaration of Independence, not interdependence. And let's talk about individual liberty, freedom in general, and some of those personal liberties that are ingrained, that are born within us. It's a component of our DNA, our basic genetic profile. Okay, it's part of our genealogy. It's our birthright. Let me just say this, that this movement, and it is a movement, it's not just a mere protestation or a gathering, it's a groundswell. It's not a perfect movement, but just like when you talk about conspiracy science or conspiracism, do you think it's just a left or just a right thing? No. And it's not just the extremities of the left and the right, but truth resonates whether it's the left, the right, or the center. And yes, you have elements of this movement of Occupy Wall Street that, yes, are anti-capitalist, that would rather be part of a pure democracy, the sharing of the wealth, socialism, maybe even the grand commune, communism. But what I'm most interested in is Occupy the Fed. And some of you might say, what are you talking about? Well, OccupyTheFed.net is a website. There is a movement afoot. The actual origins, okay, the genesis of this movement you see that sprung up at Wall Street in New York City, actually, its roots were from just a few people that gathered to protest the Federal Reserve and its Bankster Gate TARP, I would say criminality, might be a good way of putting it. And then, of course, many people gathered because there is righteous indignation as it relates to TARP, as it relates to corporate greed, as it relates to corporate, and capital, I would say cronyism. And when I say capital and corporate cronyism, political cronyism, we're talking about this power elite that C. Wright Mills talked about, that Eustace Mullins, author of Secrets of the Federal Reserve and the World Order, among other authors, including Ralph Epperson, The Unseen Hand, and anything relating to the new, the old order, the established order of the United States of America and the world, the global elitist. Okay? And when you realize that less than 1% control more than 90% of the aggregate wealth, I don't have a problem with people that earned it. I don't have a problem with people that inherited it, because you can't force away someone's inheritance. You can't redistribute wealth. But what you can do is make sure that whatever is earned, whatever is inherited, that it's not by sheer privilege or by power or by persuasion that they can maintain and increase, amplify their wealth. It's got to be fair. It's got to be square. Okay? So many are realizing, whether it's the left, the right, and even some in the center, that something just doesn't feel right. The left and the right are propagating and are perpetuating the wealth of the Goldman Sachsers of this world, and that they permeate. They've infiltrated and ingratiated themselves into the political fabric of this country as the Treasury secretaries, as the Federal Reserve chairs and directors, and anything relating to commerce, finances, the money powers. These money powers, these money changers, control the planet. It's not only the resources, not just the wealth, but all aspects of commerce, all aspects of war, all aspects of media. It is, their tentacles are everywhere. It is, as Eustace Mullins said, it's essentially the science of parasitism. Okay, when he talks about in his book, and actually the cover of the World Order, he talks about essentially a study of parasitism. Where the planet is being feasted upon. It's been infested and it's been feasted upon by these parasites, and these are international bankers. It all goes back to usury. It goes back to fractional reserve. It is about being able to create the money, and it's about them owning the distribution. It's really the ownership of all wealth through money manipulation, through money management, and through money creation. So there is a website, and I would encourage you, and it's something I'm going to study further, and it's fairly new. It's called Occupy the Fed. There's also another website that I would highly recommend called endthefed.com. This one is occupythefed.net. I will probably place this banner in my news resources section at tomdonahuereports.com. Now, Herman Cain, he's got some catchphrases. Okay, Mr. Problem Solver, Mr. Practicality, Mr. 999. He thinks that these are just homeless or degenerate bums that are protesting because, and it's class warfare. It's financial envy. I don't think it's class warfare, and I don't think it's just being envious of others. I mean, bankers, what do they produce? What does Wall Street and the banking establishment produce? Nothing. They feed upon. Okay, they create panics. They're fear mongers. They manipulate. They're insiders. They have inside. It's the inside trading. And so what they really do is, it's not labor. It's not even capital. They just simply capitalize on these money manipulative games. Really, it's like the game Monopoly, and that's what it is. It's about monopoly control, pure and simple. Now, the Hannitizer, the Hannibal, the wall banger, he is celebrating 15 years at the Fox Follies. Now he has his gathering of friends, and it's very interesting that this meeting's taking place in Atlanta, Georgia, where we have two of the presidential candidates that have been, to some degree, anointed by the Fox royalty. We're talking about Roger Ailes in particular, who is, in my view, you want to talk about the Bush's brain, the architect, Karl Rove. Well, the real architect of the Republican Party goes beyond Karl Rove. It goes beyond any appointed heads of the Republican Party or the National Committee or anything else. It is Roger Ailes. Now, he was the former communications director for Bush Sr., and he runs everything. I mean, he's the president of Fox News and Fox Entertainment. So he has decided essentially, who the candidates could or should be. He's the grand anointer, the appointer. So this 15-year anniversary is taking place in Atlanta. Well, Sean Hannity really was a big-time host on a local level, 50,000-watt level in Atlanta. Well, guess what? We have two candidates from that region. We have Herman Cain and Newt Gingrich. And they were both, I don't know about Herman Cain. He may be coming up on the program. I did see Newt Gingrich before this broadcast. And he had Neil Boring, Bortz, the Boer. So he had Neil Bohr on. That's what I call him, because I find him to be very boring. And plus, I don't have a real love for lawyers, okay? But I actually detest. I I I would have to say the word not just detest, but despise hypocrisy. And those of you that believe that this man is a true libertarian, that is a warmonger, a supporter of the Bushies, of all Bushes, the senior, the junior, and Jebber, okay? And here he is, asking him. He actually did this. You might say, "Why? He was joking. He was jesting. He was playing up because he's on Fox News and he's part of the Hannity celebration." Yeah. That's like the jokester on. He's probably not. He's not really funny, so I don't know why I'm calling him the jokester. But Bill Cunningham, another fake and fraud of the conservative movement. Billy Boy Cunningham said that not only did he think Sean Hannity was the best looking guy on radio and television. Yeah, Fred Flintstone, right? Okay, chinny chin chin. But but chinny chin chin. Who was it? It wasn't just Fred Flintstone, but there was another character that I compared Hannity to. I'm surprised Sabatge hasn't picked up on that. But had to do with the chin, had to do with the. That'll come to me. I haven't picked on Hannity in a while, so bear with me. Okay, so the Hannibal, the Hannitizer, as Sabatge would call him, the wall banger, and Lou Costello as he's aging, which is pretty good. I like that. So anyway, um, the man who's never had an original thought, the Jughead. Well, Jughead, Hannitizer, is having his 15-year celebration. 10 years on radio, 15 of 10 years. What was the 10-year anniversary? 10-year anniversary was with I think that's with his in national syndication. I started earlier when 94 I think is when he entered radio, or at least I think that's when he was a part of the Atlanta market. He might have been in some little smaller markets prior to that. I started in radio in 1990, but that's neither here nor there. So he's got Neil Boron, which is his real name is Bortz, the fake libertarian who's a warmonger and believes in no conspiracies as it relates to the Fed, as it relates to and his good friend Herman Cain. So now I'm starting to really piece it together. Herman Cain said that he would love to have. Remember when that question came up about VPs, and he would love to have Newt Gingrich? Well, I think it was a conspiracy, if you will, between these two candidates, and I think they will equally support one another. And I think if either of them, which they will not, get the nomination, would probably choose the other as their VP. And I think that was one of the most honest things that was said during the debate. So you've got Herman Cain that's denouncing these protests. Almost all the Republican established media, so-called conservative media, are denouncing them. Now, granted, the Roseanne Barrs, the Michael Moores, the George Soros types that are getting in there and whipping things up and actually hijacking, as the Republicans hijacked much of the Tea Party. But there are still some, as in the Tea Party, some legitimate, honest brokers and part of a groundswell, grassroots movement that's against the international banksters, the NWO, the Federal Reserve. And I'm glad that now there's more of a targeting. There is a branching off of this gathering and this movement where, okay, you guys just want to go after corporate greed. You guys just want to go after the Wall Streeters without really focusing on the Federal Reserve and a more globalist internationalist conspiracy. You think it's communism or socialism or the so-called democracy versus this Republican Party or the corporate Republican Party or just simply corporate greed. Well, then fine. So I've always been of the mind, and I remember back in the 1980s with the American Liberty Association that I founded and directed, and we brought on meetings, and you'd have people that come out and say, I'm as liberal as can be, and you seem to be ultra conservative, but we agree on many things. See, where the disagreement comes in generally is, okay, what are we going to do about it? What are the recommended solutions? How do we fix it? Well, my fixes, as some would say, as an ultra conservative, but more very much an independent player, is so much different than someone that would be on the left. I mean, if they're not denouncing Obama and rejecting Obamanomics or the Obama nation like they would the Bush crime family, the imposter and the junior, well, then they don't get it. If they think Obama's part of the solution and not part of the problem and not the entire problem, that he's not a pawn, that he's not, a tool, that he's not, a puppet for the puppet master, just like the junior was, the senior Bushes, or Clintonite, well, then they don't understand. Okay? They don't understand conspiracy science, conspiracism, and it goes beyond just conspiracy theories. So I'm going to focus a lot more. And you have to remember, I've been in protest. Drudge reporting how they're marching outside the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas. I've been in front of the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas. I've been in front of the Federal Reserve Bank of Jacksonville, Florida. I have been here in Philadelphia. I have been involved in protests in front of the Federal Reserve buildings. I have had more shows exposing the Federal Reserve. I have worked with Eustace Mullins for more than 2 decades. I wish it would have been the 3rd decade, but I was kind of in exile, forced exile. So, but nevertheless, the spirit of Eustace Mullins in terms of the anti-Federal Reserve and telling the truth and exposing the Fed and the NWO lives on. So I'm glad that I was part of kind of those early foot soldiers and pioneers that helped pave the way. So this movement, as much as it may be misguided, infiltrated, hijacked, it doesn't. How can I put it? You might say, yeah, it's somewhat tainted. It's not really a pure movement as it would be from the Patriot movement. But again, what the media is getting right here, not one criminal prosecution of these tarpsters, of these banksters, of these international gangsters, these people that have stolen from the American public. They've stolen our goodwill, they've stolen our resources, our treasure, and they have squandered it. They are the destroyers, more so than Obama, and more so than even any political officials. These international banksters and gangsters. No one's been held accountable. No one has been prosecuted. And they continue to live on, and they have their largesse, and they were subsidized. They were bailed out. The bailout of the banksters and the gangsters. So there needs to be prosecutions. Okay? Not beheadings. And not putting all the wealthy or all, even the plutocrats for that matter. It's not about just taking, we don't want to steal anyone's wealth, but I'll tell you what, whatever federal debt is claimed to be owned or owed to these people, it should be, well, it's going to be a forgiveness day, the year of Jubilee. These debts are extinguished. Yeah, that's the way I see it. These are the solutions that I offer here. And I told you this program is about truth, and it is about solutions, putting America first, protecting our national interest, our state interest, the individual sovereignty. That is right. Please go to TomDonahueReports.com and make sure you're a subscriber to this broadcast. It is free. Check out all the resources. We also have a 24/7 channel thanks to our fine affiliate partners in TalkStream Live, the Dynamic Directory, Thanks to Z Talk Radio. Thanks to the Talk Superstation. May God bless you and God bless our great country. Tom Donahue for Tom Donahue.